that, well, she's here for now. Yeah, so I'm gonna say she's here now. All right, and I know my other friend that was gonna be gone this morning, but I still am missing some other friends. All right, did I record? Yes, okay. All right, yesterday, oh, I have so many things. So many things. All right. Hopefully.
Gone anyway, so it's just Charlie.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're down to very few.
I know we are.
So Charlie, Jensen, and Ben, but we know about Jensen and Ben.
Perfect.
Charlie never.
Awesome. All right. So we got this. All right.
It's all good. We're ready.
So we're ready. All right. Today is lesson 2. Today will probably be lesson 2 will probably be broken into today and tomorrow because there's quite a bit of information. Some of the things you're going to see today are going to be extended into tomorrow, so you'll have to hold them in your brain for 2 days instead of just one. All right, so yesterday we read aloud page 26. So everybody open up that One Well book to page 26 for me. And you're also going to need your workbook on page 55. I know that's a lot to have on your desk, but I hope you can handle it. So 55, page 55. We're going to be close readers. So page 26 in your One Well book, page 26 in your One Well book, and page 55 in your workbook. We're going to reread a little bit today. So today we're reading we're finishing up our gist and being close readers and looking at any words we're not sure about, just like we usually do. We're going to read small chunks. We're going to read each paragraph separately. We did paragraph 1 yesterday. If you didn't get all of that written down, then you'll have a little bit of time to maybe catch up on that. And then we're going to use some strategies to figure out what some of those words are that we may have not seen before. And then we are going to move on to a new source today, a new text that is kind of, it's really a nice story. So we need to do that. All right, so let's reread page 26, just so we can have that in our brains. But you should read with your eyes while I read aloud. In fact, my computer is just going to not even be, I don't even want you looking at the screen. I just want you looking at the page 26 for me, okay? All right. Saving the water in the well. Water has the power to change everything. A single splash can sprout a seed. Sorry, just making sure my sound works there. To sprout a seed, quench a thirst, provide a habitat, generate energy, and sustain life. It also has the power to unite or divide the world. Water is the most basic and important need of all life on Earth. Is water pretty important? Yes. So if we go back to each of those sections, sprout a seed. Do we need water to grow our food? Yes. Yes. So if we don't have water, is that going to be a problem? Yes, because that's all of our food. Quench a thirst. We know that dehydration is a problem if we have that our bodies need water, right? That's why Mrs. Aubin and I and your parents want you to be hydrated, right? They want you to have that water bottle. They want you to be drinking that water because your body has mostly water in it. All that blood and all those tissues are made out of water, and we need that to be healthy. It says provide a habitat. What does that mean in the terms of the world? What does it mean provide a habitat? What do you think? Moran?
It means it can, like for a dolphin maybe?
Yes, exactly. So you had the dolphin last before when we did the habitat switch, right? So we know that there are animals that need to live. Let me go back to here. Sorry, guys. Those animals live there, right? We know frogs need water. We know that dolphins, that we have all of Earth's creatures in some way. Almost all of you said when we were doing our habitats before spring break, some of the main reasons that you were saying that animals couldn't survive there is because it didn't have water, right? So we know that they need water. Generate energy. We talked about that a lot of the Earth's energy is made with hydroelectric situations. We have there dams that make a lot of electricity and sustain life. And yesterday we used sustain as one of our vocabulary words. So yesterday on page 55, we filled in the first section about what this section was about. So this should look familiar to everybody, right? Page 55. And we said, what was the gist? Well, water is powerful because it's the most basic and important need for all life on Earth. Then we came up with a couple of words. Generate means to produce or make, and sustain, which means to provide or support basic needs. Like great word from Isabella there. So support meaning that if we are wanting to sustain life, we have to have that basic need of water. All right, so great job there. Hopefully we're all caught up. We're going to finish on the next paragraph. This paragraph 2 and 3. Why do you think they combine 2 and 3 together? Why do you think? Why would we come up with the gist of 2 and 3? What do you think, Lila?
Because there's what paragraph?
Because paragraph 2 is really short, right? Yeah.
If you can just put them together.
Do you think they have a similar gist, maybe? Yes, probably. All right, so let's reread 2 and 3, and then I need you to be coming up with that gist, right? What the paragraphs are mostly about. But Earth's one well is in trouble. There is simply not enough clean water to go around. Taking actions to conserve water can help the well. Conserving water means protecting both the quantity and quality of water on Earth. For example, using less water helps prevent water sources from drying up. And reducing water pollution protects the overall health of the well. Water conservation can help ensure there is enough clean water for everyone on the planet. All right, what do we think the gist would be then? What is those paragraphs mostly about? What do you think? Miss Astria, what do you think?
About the water and how important it is and how to save it.
Okay, so can you put that in a sentence? That would one sentence that would combine all of those ideas. You're right, it's about water and how to help it, save it. Okay, what word did they use in particular for that? They were talking about, in fact, it's a word we're going to put on our unfamiliar vocabulary. Is there a word in there, Lila, that kind of conserve, right? So let's talk about what conserve means, because that will help you then with your, are you getting this down? Come on, get it down, my friend. If we know what conserve means, that can help us determine what this all means, right? So who thinks they know what conserve means? It kind of tells us a little bit. It says conserving water means protecting both the quantity and quality of water on Earth. And then it talks up about a little more about it. What do you think conserve means, Madison? Getting more? Okay, actually it's not getting more, it's actually using less. Instead of getting more, it's conserving means to use less. Yes. Use less. By using less, we keep it from being wasted, right? If we use less, then we're going to have more later, right? So we're going to conserve it. All right. So why would we want to conserve? So that's the beginning. So the idea here is that we need to conserve it. We need to save it. But why? Why do we need to save it? Looking for my friends at home. Anybody else want to chime in? Mr. Gavin stretching. All right, any ideas, Mr. Gavin? What this section might be about? Why would we want to conserve water? What does it say we could, why do we need to do that?
To save the water.
Right, we want to save the water, but why? What's the problem that we need to save it for?
So that everybody has enough water.
Okay, because does everybody have enough water right now? No, but we want them to, right? So there isn't enough clean water for everyone. So we need to, what word are we going to use? Conserve. There isn't enough clean water for everyone, so we need to conserve it. We need to use less. Yes, Ms. Cerny. Page 55. It's the one we started yesterday. We started it yesterday. It went with page 26 of 1 So there was another 2 words that started with Q. And they were a little confusing. Do you think it's important we talk about those 2 words? There was quality, and there was another one that was quantity. They're very similar, aren't they? They sound pretty similar. Quantity, quality. Mr. August, can I go on, my friend? What is quality? When Mrs. Aubin or Mrs. Harrison ask you to write a quality sentence, or if they want, or said, can you look at the quality of your answer? What do we want you to look at, Cole? Quality, the first one. How good it is, yeah, okay. August, what were you gonna add?
I was gonna add what he said.
How good it is?
Yeah.
Okay, no, what do you think? I think it's taking up most of the screen right now, friend. I don't know that if I do much bigger, then you won't be able to see the things above it and below it. And I think I have some friends who are still trying here. Has that a little bit better? All right. So how good something is. Logan, what else could you add?
I was saying like what it looks like, how it is, and like the condition of it too.
Okay, so it needs to, I like how you said condition. That's a good one. So when we look at the quality of our work, we're looking at how well we did, right? So quality is how good or bad something is. So what do we what quality of water do we expect when we turn on the sink? We expect it to be fresh and good, right? How about if we're remember the picture yesterday of the lady walking with her bucket away from the water? What is likely to be the quality of that water, Finn? Yeah, so you're not talking to Cooper right now. You're listening. So what's the quality of that water, do you think, that the lady yesterday who had the bucket that was walking away from the water source? Not that clean, probably. So quality is how good or bad it is, how clean or polluted or dirty it is in water's case, right? So what is quantity? Quantity. What do you think the quantity of something is? So it's different than quality. Quantity. My same hands. Logan, what do you think?
I think if I remember, it's like space.
Space? Sometimes it could be space. It's an amount of something. So it depends on what you're talking about, right? So if you, the quantity of feet in this room could be, that's how much of something, it's an amount. So, but if I want I want a large quantity of bananas, that's not gonna be mentioned in, that's not gonna be measured in space, right? Quantity of bananas is gonna be counted in numbers, right? How many bananas there are. All right, so I'm gonna go back to this sentence here where it says, conserving water means protecting both the quantity and quality of water on Earth. Does that make a little more sense now? That we want obviously clean water, right? And we want as much of it as possible, right? So conserving our water by using less, we're going to help both of those situations, okay? All right, I'm going to leave that hopefully as best as I can right there, but we are going to move on to page 56, which is our last paragraph. So I'm going to try seeing how many things I can get on under the dock camera at one time without it all falling off. All right, so our last paragraph. By becoming more aware of how you use water and by using less, you too can protect the water in Earth's one well. Remember, every drop counts. So what do you think the author is trying to get you to understand in this paragraph? What does he want you to understand, Lila?
That you might use a lot of water, and if you use so much water, some other people won't get any water.
Okay.
That by saving water, you can help the people that need more water.
Okay, so there's a really, everybody look at that paragraph on the bottom of page 26. There is one word that really pops out to me about what the author wants you to help do. One word that really pops up. Oh, which one, Ellie, is it to you? Protects. Was that yours too? Okay, protect really pops out to me because what does this author want us to do? Protect the water, and who's going to do that? Exactly. So when I say the word you, I really mean everybody, right? Us. But I'm going to say you. The author wants to know that you can protect. What are we protecting again? The water. Where's the water? This is page 56. Yep, we flipped the page. You can protect the water where? No, well, it is the one well, right? Oh, but that's the world. How about on Earth? You can protect the water on Earth by so when we go by use, well, it says how you use the water. So it says by by knowing how to use the water. And there's this word aware. And we know that this is we know the one well, right, Robert? So everybody is connected, right? So we can protect the water on Earth by, I'm going to put a little phrase in here and see if you guys can figure out what I mean. Being well aware. By being well aware. So, I got a little high. Sorry there. Yes, you should be. Yep, you're writing it in your workbook, page 56. So that's us, can protect the water on Earth by being well aware. What does well mean in this case? Does it mean good? Like, hey, are you feeling well today? Is that what it means in this case? No. What well are we talking about? The water well, the one well. And if we are aware of how we are using our water, we will be well aware. We're aware of that idea that everything we do is connected to something else. Remember how we talked about very at the beginning, those very first pages, that all of the water is connected, not at the same time, but that those dinosaur droplets, that the water the dinosaur was drinking might have ended up at some point in India, might have ended up as our snow at some point. Because of all of the way that the weather works and the water cycle works, that water is travels all over the earth. And so we might not think, we think, hey, we have all that snow, that's lots of water, we're good. But that water eventually, right, it melts and becomes groundwater that we drink. Plus then it evaporates and goes back into the sky and then might rain someplace far, far away, right? Or the water might drain down to the ocean and might be, some of the water that eventually, that when Miss Bird went to the Bahamas, when she went to the beach, that water that she was playing in years from now might be in our own very backyard. Isn't that an interesting concept? Does it make you think a little bit about how we take care of things then? And how other people need to know that they too need to take care of the water? Because no matter where you are, you affect the water that's eventually going to end up someplace else, right? Okay, so were there any other words that we needed to, what does the word aware actually mean? What does aware mean? Ooh, lots of good hands, good, excellent. Elena, what does aware mean?
Like to watch out for something.
To watch out for, okay.
Like know that something's gonna happen.
Okay, so I like there was a word in there that you said to know, right? It's to know. If you're aware, then you know about it. And I'm going to give another word that's actually really also kind of hard. Conscious of it. You're thinking about it. What are you thinking, Logan? What does conscious mean? You're actively thinking about it, right? Yes, if you're conscious, you're active, you're thinking, you're able to do something about it. If you are well aware, then you know about that water situation and you are conscious, you're active about it, and you're doing something about it. Okay, it's not something, it's it's okay to know about something, but it's not really, if you're aware of it and you can do something about it, right? And you can act on it. All right. Yes, Miss Lila.
So my mom taught me to be aware of my surroundings.
Yes.
And that means to not like throw around and accidentally hit someone.
Very good.
You need to be aware that people are around you.
So Lila was telling us that she was, her mom tells her to be aware of her surroundings. So when she's spinning around, she doesn't whack somebody else, right? So when you're aware, you're noticing things, you know what's going on around you, and then that keeps you from getting hurt yourself or hurting somebody else, or just knowing what might happen, right? Or breaking something. You're right. Very good. Noah.
I think I have an idea for the next word.
Oh, do you? One more vocabulary word? Go for it.
Either remember or protect.
Oh, score. Protect. I think we know what remember is. I think we're good on that one. But what is to protect something, Josh?
Protect means like do like defend something.
Yes, it's to defend or keep it safe, right? Yeah, to protect or keep safe. To defend it, yes. So is that an action?
Yeah.
Yeah. Protect is a verb. That's an active thing to do. When you're protecting something, it's not just passively hoping it's all going to work out, right? You have to do something. It's an active thing. So we are going to protect, and this is going to come in handy when remember yesterday we talked about your essay? That you're going to be writing an essay where you are going to state how we're going to solve one of those problems that we talked about yesterday. Access to water, demand for water, or pollution in the water. You are going to be actively persuading other people that they need to take action, because it's not just 30 or 41 third graders can make an impact, definitely, but can 41 kids who are teaching other people about protecting water make a bigger impact? Yes, for sure. So we're going to take this knowledge that we have and we're going to turn it into helping others understand how they can protect the water. Okay. Everybody good on that section right there? Did everybody get that down, hopefully? Because I got to move on here, my friends. Very good. All right. So we are not completely done with our book of One Well, but we are going to take a look at water from a slightly different perspective for a minute. All right, so we were close readers. We're going to be close readers again in a minute, but I'm going to pull up my learning targets real quick. Today, we are going to find the gist of a narrative nonfiction text. There's a lot of words in there. Narrative nonfiction text. So what does narrative mean? This is a word we looked at a lot at the beginning of the year. So think back. Narrative. What's a narrative? Abby, what do you think?
Like a narrative, well, a narrative is like
Okay, it's all right. Lila, what do you think?
a narrative is like a piece of information.
So narrative means to be written like a story. So when you're reading, those of you who are in All Block who are reading your dog books, those are narrative books. Those are narrative story. Narrative means it's telling a story with characters, with a setting, with a plot, a problem, and hopefully a solution to that problem, right? So a narrative means there are story elements, those things that we all talk about when we're talking about a story. Who are the characters? Mr. Finn, that doesn't look like that's placed quite right. Where you have your characters, you have your setting, where the story is taking place, right? So there's usually a problem, some sort of solution, or some things that are happening to get to some sort of resolution of what's going on. So we have a narrative nonfiction text. So what does nonfiction mean? Nonfiction. Max Fox? It means it's real, right? Fiction is made up. So nonfiction, use our word parts, right? Non means not. Fiction means made up. So nonfiction would be not made up, right? So it's a true story. So today we're going to read a story that's it's a story told with characters and setting and all those things, but it's also real. It's a real story. And it's going to be, that's what we're going to read today, but we're going to read it and look for the gist as we go. So you're also going to look at literal and non-literal meanings of words and phrases. So the word literal, does anybody know what the word literal means? Max, what do you think? Real? Okay, so let's break down that word, literal. Do you know that little section lit? Does that in any other words? Like what, Josh? I lit something, you're right. That was not quite the case I was on for the moment, but you're right. Abby, what else? Hear the part lit. Okay, so that was what Josh was going with fire. So we're not doing with the fire idea, Finn. Lit. Okay, yeah, that's more of a slang term for things right now. You're right, that word. Nixon? Literally. Okay, literature. How about literature? Legit. Something. Sure. So in this case, literal means something that is true, something that you actually read and it means what it says. Means what it says. So what is non-literal then? Non-literal is going to be. What do you think, Lila?
Not real.
It's not going to mean the same as it says. Okay? So we've actually, and we often call this figurative language. Language that isn't like when you say you have butterflies in your stomach, right? Doesn't mean you actually have butterflies. That would be the literal meaning, right? That there are bugs in my tummy. That'd be literal. That's not what we mean though, right? No, we mean that we're nervous. And it's figurative language. In this case, we're going to say non-literal. Because in this book, they're going to say some things, and it's for effect. It's figurative language. So you can help see some things in your head, but it's not necessarily meaning exactly what the book says. All right. And the last part, which we're mostly going to focus on tomorrow, is we're going to think about what the point of view is from the author of this book and how that compares to our point of view. Okay. So that's mostly going to take place tomorrow. All right. So we are going to be doing some, definitely some gist work and some looking at what some words mean, some unfamiliar vocabulary. But I just want for now you to just listen and enjoy the book the first time, and then we're going to break it down into sections. All right. So the name of the book is, so I'm going to read the back cover, right? I'm supposed to do that first. All right. So just listen to the sentence that's on the back. The true story of a boy whose great idea and perseverance lit up his home and inspired the world. So that's the little blurb that's on the back, right? Okay. So what does that make you think about? What does that make you think about? What are you thinking that we might find inside this book, Robert?
He had a good idea and it helped the world.
He had a good idea and it helped the whole world. Wowzer. What do you think, Miss Layla?
I think it's like the world isn't very creative and he was creative and had an idea and it lit up everyone's mind and then everyone started thinking creatively.
Oh, so maybe there's a different word. In this case, this lit, right? Oh, you can't see it because you're not on my camera. There we go. So in this case, lit might have two different meanings, right? Okay, possibly when it says lit up his home. But we're hoping that's not like Josh said on fire, right? But like lights. Very good. All right. So this book is called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And so remember, I just told you that this book is narrative and nonfiction. So it's a true story. All right. But it's told in the way of a narrative with, okay. It's by William Kamkwoma and Brian Mealer. So two authors, and I think you'll see why in a minute. All right. So I'm gonna have you, let me. There we go. So it's not so shiny. All right. So I'm going to show you the picture over here first. Okay, you're getting sort of an idea of the setting from the picture? A little bit of an idea what might be going on here. In a small village in Malawi, where people had no money for lights, nightfall came quickly and hurried poor farmers to bed. But for William, the darkness was best for dreaming. Getting a sense of the setting? He dreamed of building things and taking them apart, like trucks with bottle cap wheels parked under his bed, and pieces of radios that he'd cracked open and wondered, if I can hear the music, then where's the band? His grandpa's tales of magic. Sorry, I want to make sure you can see the top as well. You see? His grandpa's tales of magic also whispered in the pitch black of his room. Witch planes passed through the window while ghost dancers twirled around the room, as if 100 men were inside their bodies. So we're talking about dreams here, right? So is this literal or non-literal, do you think? All right. Figurative language, right? All right. Okay. All right. So here we get essentially the picture here. What do you notice? Do we learn about something about flip-flops? Earlier in the year? Do you remember anything, Robert? You remember something?
Plants.
So we see some plants. So where do we think he is right now?
In the garden.
So we're on a farm, in a field. Maybe corn, okay. Do you guys remember anything? Actually, do you remember flip-flops? When we were talking about overcoming challenges around the world, who needed flip-flops? Do you remember? Yeah, when our friends in Uganda, remember we raised all the money to help them with their donate a plate? And we had our friend that came in and by Zoom and told us, right, about how they sometimes have to protect their feet from the worms and the pests that can get into their feet, and so that they wear flip-flops because that's all they can afford, right? So they don't get sick. Exactly. At dawn, in the fields, William scanned the maize rows for magical beings, then wondered as a truck rumbled past. How does this engine make it go? Pay attention where you throw that hoe, his father shouted. You'll cut off your foot. Ooh, sharp hoe, isn't it? So it said maize. Does anybody know what the word maize means? Robert was on it, actually. He had it. Lyra? It said he was in the maize rows. So these rows here, maize. They were straight rows, but what maize is the name of the plant. What do you think, Haley? Maize is another word for.
It's kind of like
Does anybody remember what plant Robert mentioned? What did he say? What did he think that those plants were? Abby?
corn.
Corn. This is corn, but they refer to it as maize. For all of its power over dancers and flying things, magic could not bring the rain. Without water, the sun rose angry each morning and searched the fields, turning the maize into dust. Without food, Malawi began to starve. There's the angry sun. So, literal meaning or non-literal? Well, is the sun scorching the earth? Yes, but is the sun itself angry? No. But if you were thinking perhaps that if you were there, you might be thinking that sun sure seems angry. There's our next picture. Soon William's father gathered the children and said, from now on, we eat only one meal per day. Make it last. In the evenings, they sat around the lantern and ate their handful, watching hungry people pass like spirits along the road. Money also disappeared with the rain. Papani, his father said, I'm sorry, you'll have to drop out of school. Now William stood on the road and watched the lucky students pass alone with the monster in his belly and the lump in his throat. For weeks he sulked under the mango tree until he remembered the library down the road, a gift from the Americans. Are you starting to make some connections?
Yep.
from things that we learned about at the beginning of the year? I hope so. All right. He found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With his English dictionary close by, William put together how engines moved those big trucks and how radios pulled their music from the sky. But the greatest picture of all was of a machine taller than the tallest tree with blades like a fan. Ah, a giant pinwheel? Something to catch magic? Slowly, he built the sentences. Windmills can produce electricity and pump water. He closed his eyes and saw a windmill outside his home, pulling electricity from the breeze and bringing light to the dark valley. He saw the magic, or no, he saw the machine drawing cool water from the ground, sending it gushing through the thirsty fields, turning the maize tall and green. Even when farmers' prayers for rain went unanswered, the windmill was more than a machine. It was a weapon to fight hunger. Magetsi Amenfo, he whispered, which means I will build electric wind. In the junkyard, pieces appeared like rusted treasures in the tall grass. A tractor fan, some pipe, and bearings and bolts that required every muscle to move. Tonga, he'd shout to the birds and spiders holding up his prize. But as William dragged his metals home, people called out, "This boy is Masala. Only crazy people play with trash." After many weeks, William arranged the pieces in the dirt. A broken bicycle, rusted bottle caps, and plastic pipe. Even a small generator that powered a headlight on a bike. For 3 days, he bolted, banged, and tinkered while chickens squawked and dogs barked, and neighbors shook their heads, saying, "What's Masala doing now?" See all his pieces? His cousin Jeffrey and best friend Gilbert soon appeared. "Mulai Bawanji," they greeted. "Can we help you with the electric wind?" "Grab your pangas and follow me," he said, and took them into the forest. Together, they swung their sharp blades into the trunks of blue gum trees, then hammered them together to make the tower. Standing atop, William shouted, "Bring it up!" while the boys tugged and heaved. A crowd gathered below and gazed at his strange machine that now leaned and wobbled like a clumsy giraffe. Some giggled, others teased, but William waited for the wind. Like always, it came. First a breeze, then a gusting gale. The tower swayed and the blades spun around. With sore hands, once slowed by hunger and darkness, William connected wires to a small bulb, which flickered at first, then surged as bright as the sun. Tonga, he shouted, I have made electric wind. It sort of does. To see all his friends there. Watch it, Tobolino, a man yelled. Well done. As the doubters clapped and cheered, William knew he had just begun. Light could not fill empty bellies, but another windmill could soak the dry ground, creating food where once there was none. Majitsi and Muffo, electric wind, can feed my country, William thought. And that was the strongest magic of all. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there for now. There is more that we'll eventually read to you about the real boy. Oh, we're not going anywhere yet. I don't know where you guys are putting anything up yet. So we should learn some things from this guy, huh? Do you think? Did William give up and just take his fate?
No.
No. He used his, and he no longer got to go to school, right? But he decided to go ahead and continue to learn, right? Even though he was not going to school at that time. All right, so I would like you to turn in your workbook, because we're going to break it down into some sections. Let me find my page. I must have hit it somewhere here. You got, yeah. Is it 58? Oh, yes, because 57 is our page about what we're going to write about, right? So 58. All right. So real quick, I'm going to escape from here for just a second. While you guys are finding page 58 for me. All right. So first of all, it told us that he was from a certain country. Did anybody use any of their connections, any of their schema about where his country might be? What do you think, Miss Haley, calendar? Where do you think his country might be? And look at the screen, it might help you.
Malawi.
Malawi. And where is it? Where is in the world compared to us? Is it in what continent is this?
I can't really read it.
Okay.
It's kind of hard.
Cooper, help me out. Africa, Miss Haley, Africa. So did we learn about some other countries in Africa? Yes, is this a new one? Yes, but we learned about Kenya, we learned about Uganda, we also learned about Chad. We had several books at the beginning of the year that had to do with Africa, and so we have new ones to do so we have a new place to learn. So we learned that different parts of Africa have some different problems, don't they? Are they all the same problems in the whole entire continent? No, because this one has to do with drought. Did we necessarily learn about drought in other parts? Not necessarily, because remember the school that completely ended up being destroyed by the rain? Remember that? Remember the school that we learned about? The rain school, right? We read the book Rain School, and was that super dry there? Not necessarily. They part of the year we knew that they had monsoon rains, lots and lots of rain. All right. I was hoping everybody got to page 58, kind of stalling there, about a little bit about where our, thank you, Mrs. Aubin, about where we are. All right. So the gist we have, so when we have a narrative gist is a little bit different than a informational gist. A little bit, because we have to include our characters and our setting in there, right? So who is our character that we learned about in the first couple pages? Who did we learn about? Abby. William. So we're going to start with William, right? That's what we had to learn about first. William. So I'm going to just briefly go through pages 2 through 7 here, so we can learn a little bit about William again. So William, it says, in a small village in Illinois where people had no money for lights, nightfall came quickly and hurried poor farmers to bed. But for William, the darkness was best for dreaming. All right. And what do we learn on this page? What does he think about? What does he wonder about in his dreams, Lex? Yeah, he puts all those things from his day, right? He thinks about how things work, and he also is thinking about his community, right? His village and those who came before him, right? All right, and then where does he work? He works in the farm in the fields, right? And he helps his family. And what kind of things are they creating there, or they're growing there? Corn, maize, right? Okay, so where does William live? All right, and is it in a big city? No, so where does he live? Small, it told us in the very first page, he lives in a small village in Malawi. You guys are copying, helping me out, or you can use your own words too. You don't have to have it word by word. You can use your own words. William lives in a small village in Malawi, and he thinks about, what does he think about? And wonders how all kinds of things work, right? Do you think that comes in handy with him later on? That he wonders how things work? Yeah, that's kind of an important part of the story, isn't it? If he wasn't trying to think about how things worked, would he have necessarily gone to the library and taken out those books about about the subjects that were helpful? Probably not, right? Okay, so we talked about this word here. What was maize? That was a hard word. That was a different word than we're used to. What was it, Haley? What does it mean? Corn, right. Yep. One of the words that they suggest in the teacher guide is poor. Do we all know what poor is? Yeah, what does poor mean? Marin? Having no money, right? Having basic things, not having a lot of money, right? All right. Okay, how are we doing? Give me a thumbs up if you're done, so I know that you're ready. Okay, so a couple more friends. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Start working on the next section here. All right, I'm going to read. I know you're writing, but I'm going to read, so I need you to listen. So if your thumb is up and you're done, you're listening to what we're going to come up with the gist for the next couple of pages. For all its power over dancers and flying things, Magic could not bring the rain. Without water, the sun rose angry each morning and scorched the fields, turning the maize into dust. Without food, Malawi began to starve. Soon William's father gathered the children and said, "From now on, we eat only one meal per day. Make it last." In the evening, they sat around the lantern and ate their handful, watching hungry people pass like spirits along the road. Isn't this author good at putting pictures in our head?
Yeah.
Yes. So can you see those people who are hungry passing by like spirits? Money also disappeared with the rain. "Papani," father said, "I am sorry, you will have to drop out of school." Now William stood on the road and watched the lucky students pass, alone with a monster in his belly and a lump in his throat. For weeks, he sulked under the mango tree until he remembered the library down the road, a gift from the Americans. Okay, so what does the author want us to know mostly about for those pages I just read? What's going on in our story? Elena?
That people are starving because they can't eat.
And why? You're right. People are starving because why?
Because the sun was mad and the corn wouldn't grow.
Okay, so there isn't, and so the corn can't grow because there's no what? Water. No. When the water comes out of the sky, we call it rain. There's no rain, right? What do crops need? Rain, or they need people to water them. Cooper, can you put your desk a little bit back more in front of where it's supposed to be? Because you and Ben are having troubles there. So if the rain doesn't come, then what do farmers normally do? They water it, right? But is there any water to water the crops with? No. What's that word we call it when it's not raining for a long time? And we sometimes have it happen here even. Yes.
A rain drought.
A rain drought. So there was a drought going on. Good job. There was a drought. So the crops, right? The crops can't grow if there's a drought. And then what happens to the people? Then what happened to the people? They starve, right? There was a drought, so the crops wouldn't grow. So the village was starving. I think we know what starve means, right? So we don't need to put that word in there. But I have a word that I love, scorched. What does scorched mean? Scorched. It said the angry sun. Nope, that's not exactly it. It said without water, the sun rose angry each morning and scorched the fields. Logan, what does scorched mean, do you think? Very hot. It's to apply heat, right? And you're gonna dry it out. Dried out with heat. Oh, that sun was so hot. All right? Scorched those plants and turned them into dust, right? Have you seen at the end of summer sometimes plants that are just when you touch them, they almost just completely fall apart because they haven't had water in a while? Sometimes that happens near the end of summer. We haven't had a lot of water. And if here it's really a problem if you got crops, right? They aren't getting any water, turned into dust. It said he sulked. He sulked until he remembered the library. What is it to sulk, Haley?
Oh, so means like you were
Okay, so he just remember he was just watching all the other kids pass by? Being sad, right? With the monster in his belly and the lump in his throat. Do we have a lot of figurative language going on here?
Yeah.
Definitely. So he sulked under the mango tree. So you're right, it is being sad, but it's a little bit more than that. Surname, what do you think? So there can be crying too. Is it like, but it's like keeping all that sadness and just keeping it and keeping it and keeping it, right? Not letting go of it. I would call that pouting, right? When you pout, you just feel bad for yourself and sorry for yourself. Another word might be mope. You're mopey. You're sad about something and you're just like, oh, woe is me. Is that how you solve a problem now? No. Pouting? Feeling sorry for yourself? No. But is that how he started though? Yeah. Do you think he had a right a little bit to pout enough? Yeah. Is that going to solve the problem? No. Nope. Not at all, is it? Nope. He's going to need to do something more than that. He's going to need to solve his problem. So he goes to the library. Is that a good thing?
Yep.
Yes. Because the library helped him find, what did he find? Books. He went to the library to find books. What kind of books? Education. Well, they are educational books, but what are they about? Let's read again. He found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With his English dictionary close by, William put together how engines moved those big trucks and how radios pulled their music from the sky. But the greatest picture of all was a machine, taller than the tallest tree with blades like a fan. So what kind of books do you decide to get? Science books. He read. I'm just going to get a little bit further here before we wrap up. He read science books. And what did those books teach him to do? What did those books help him learn how to do? Make a windmill. So he read science books and decided to build a windmill. That's a good place for me to stop. All right. So what do we think about this book so far? Do we like it? It's a good book, isn't it? And it makes, I think, when we talk about it a little bit more and you find out that this was a real person, real kiddo.
Really concerning.
That really took some initiative, right? Took some perseverance to figure out how to help his family and his village. All right. Thank you, my friends. We're going to stop there for today. We're going to continue with our book tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys being here. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Leo, if you could work a little, I still have a couple of those science assignments you guys could work on. There were 3 from last week. So if you could, I saw that Leo, you did one and Gavin, you did one, but there were 3 total. So if you get a chance, you could look for those 3 science ones from before spring break. Okay. All right. Bye, my friends.